2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, hello everybody, this is Dustin, and I just want to welcome you again to my humble abode. And today I'm going to do a really fun painting, kind of a Métis vibe to it, a little bit of native art to it with it's going to be a wolf, but we're going to do some northern lights, and it's going to be the wolf face in northern lights. So in other words, we're going to have a nice dark sky. And we're going to make just a hint of maybe a dawn or something like that. Maybe it's a sunset with just a little bit of a teal or turquoise there. And we're going to do ourselves some black. Obviously we want some silhouette. It'll have possibly a moose here, some trees. I'm going to get some stars up in there. And so we're just going to have some fun with this. And so we're going to get started. I got some really simple colors today. So we're doing black. We're doing, hey, see that quality? That's $2 right there. This is just to show you that anybody can paint, and you don't have to have top of the line supplies. I know maybe in the background you could see some of my airbrush supplies, but this has nothing to do with airbrush today. This is all cheap paint that you can buy anywhere, dollar store. Michaels, I love getting all my canvases and stuff from them. They're very consistent, very good. So I'm just using a $2 brush, $2 paint, $2 tray, just to show you that you can have some fun today while you paint. So I'm going to start with a background, and I'm going to put some blue in there, but I want black and blue together. So I'm going to take that dark blue, a little bit of black, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to get that paint on that canvas. It's going to kind of turn out like a navy almost. And I'm going to tell you the key to painting your canvas. Put lots of paint on your brush. People don't want to, it's like they're scared. Like, put some paint on that thing. Nothing to be afraid of. Paint isn't going to hurt you. I mean, I don't recommend you eat it. But this is acrylic, so it is water-based. So if you do happen to get some on you or in you, rinse her out quick. I always tell students when I'm painting, if you want to save your clothes, you either put on bad clothes you don't like, or as soon as you get that paint on you, you get there and wash it out right now with hot water. So I'm going to show you a little something right here, okay? So what I usually do when I'm painting the backgrounds, I just put lots of paint on, okay? Because I want to get it covered real quick. Now, once I have all that paint on, down to where I want it, as long as it's not dry, which is why I like to put it on fast. Just one second here. So what I want to do is when I have my paint on that I'm satisfied with, at least enough that I can start moving it down, I go left to right from top to bottom, super smooth. What that does is it should clear any extra paint that's on your canvas. Should make those brush strokes really smooth, but also, you know, when you're painting and you're doing this, see that? Kind of lift up and get those brush strokes while you're painting. This will take care of all that. But remember, you got to do it while it's wet. If it's not wet, you're going to have a tough time. The more you go left to right, the more it should soften it and blend it and get that excess paint off there. So when you have your canvas dry, it's going to look super nice. Smooth, almost professional. Just because of a simple technique. Now I'm still blending that dark blue in with the black. So nothing crazy, nothing fancy. The further I go down, the less black I add, because I want to lean it towards a sunset where we can, I put that teal in there, that nice little teal color. I don't know if you can see it, but we want to work that into our sunset. And so we have to start getting this a little bit lighter. Again, load your paint on there. And the key is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Seems tedious, but I'm telling you, it pays off. You can blend that really nice. The more you go over it, again, like I said before, not only does it smoothen it, but it'll blend it better. So now that we're at that spot where I want to start adding this turquoise color. So here's what I do. I put it below. What I want to do is I'm just going to show you, get a little zoom in here. So what I've done is I put it below and it looks like a streak across there, right? But I put it just below the bottom of where my blue was because I want to blend up into it. A good idea for blending is don't blend down too far into your lights. You want to blend with your lights up into your darks, and that should make it a little bit simpler to blend nice. So I'm going to keep going back and forth, left to right. Remember, I started low, and I'm working myself up into that blue. Now, it's going to get a little darker than what you originally put on there, and that's not a problem. Again, the more you blend it, I still obviously have just a little bit of black in there, but that's okay. That is okay. You don't have to worry about that. So now I'm going to start adding a little more of that teal or turquoise, whatever color you want to call it. We're just about to the place where I want to do my black ground, but not yet. I want to keep adding a little more of this teal. And you know, it's so funny because people get so upset when they see those streaks in there, but in reality, if you look at it, it just has a nice, almost like clouds that are sitting just on the horizon, just a little bit. Now I'm going to take my light color, I'm going to just put it in a little bit higher because I want to blend that up just a little bit more in there, make it just a little bit lighter. Again, I'm going left to right all the way across. All the way across. I'm just going to add just a little more teal here. A little bit more. So this is really going to be a simple painting in the sense of colors. I always tell my students it's just super simple. You got this, no worries. And you know what they always say? Yeah, right. And as that may possibly be true, once we are usually finished with our paintings, I am very impressed with what they pull off. I had a lady one time come, and she was probably about 84, I think, somewhere around there, and she had come for the first time to a paint night. She said, I haven't painted since I was a kid. And she said, I'm so nervous. She said, I'm not going to do very good. And I told her, I said, sit up front and just follow my lead. And I said, as long as you listen to what I'm saying and try it, and if you need help, obviously I'll help, but if you just take your time and listen to me, I'll be able to help you. Now, I don't know how that looks on camera. I hope it looks good. It's a nice set here, perfect for what I need, to where it's going to have a nice little sunset. Now I'm going to quickly wash my brush. I'm going to start adding some black in there. Black is mighty important in this, but there's two ways you can do this. I'm just going to do the base of where I want the land to lay out. Other than that, I don't think I want to put too much into it. I just want to simply let it dry. And if I let it dry, then we're going to be okay, right? So I'm just going to let it dry. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the black. And I'm gonna go just above that bottom edge, because if we go up too high while it's still wet, it's just gonna muddy it up a little bit. It's not gonna stand out. So I don't wanna do that yet. I just wanna get a baseline of where I want my horizon to be. And what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna keep adding black. And again, if it's too wet, it just turns it a little gray, right? Just because it's not the thickest paint. If it was oil paint, then it'll have a little bit different effect. Depends how hard you put it on, how much paint you put on. Excuse me. So now we're just going to load that up with black paint. We're just going to fill that up right to the bottom, and that'll prepare us for what's to come. I'll push this back just a little bit, just so I can get that bottom edge. And again, don't be afraid to put paint on there. It's funny because I really do stress that to people. Put paint on your canvas. Now don't load it up so it's just, you got big globs everywhere. That's not what we want. We don't want the globs. So put it on so it's thick on your brush and blend that out. Again, left to right is going to get rid of all those marks. Now, if you ever have any, say, white canvas marks that are kind of shining through and you're having an issue kind of filling those in, there's a circle technique. Just do a circle technique, and then you can do your left to right. And that'll usually fill that in pretty fast, so you don't have to worry about seeing those little white parts of the canvas come through. Again, we're just using acrylic paint, so it's not like we've prepared our canvas with a black gesso or a white gesso or something like that, for, you know, to make it go on super easy and smooth. All right. So I think I got my landscape set up. I love the little sunset dropping down to there. It should look really nice. I think the next thing we could possibly do, I'm not going to do the northern lights yet. I want to let it dry. So what I'm going to do is when I let it dry, it allows us to put the paint on soft. So with northern lights, you're putting your paint on and you're lifting it up with your brush, your edges. But if it's just muddy, or sorry, not muddy, it will turn muddy. If it's wet, it's just gonna muddy. And so in order to get that effect, we have to put it on a little thin while it's dry. Dry our brush as good as we can and softly pull it up. It'll feather it up. Now it's so different when you have oil paints. Like I said, it's a stronger paint. Oil paint is tougher. It's a little bit, you know, a little bit harder to push on the canvas, so you're able to maneuver it like you want to. With oil paint, you can put your northern lights where you want it to be, and then you can pull out your fan brush or your 1-inch brush, and you could soften it, fluff it up, and then you can go back and forth and smooth it out even more. We don't have that ability on here. So what we're gonna do is I think what I can do, hopefully I don't mess this up, I'm going to put a little bit of water into my white. Just a touch. Just put your brush in the water just a little bit. I'm going to mix it. I'm trying to mix it so it's nice and, I don't know if you can see it. I want it soft. Runny. A little bit on the runny side. Now, I may ruin this. I may not. So, what I usually do is I tap it on my finger, usually laying down on the, oh, I don't know if you can see that. We got some extra streaks in there, but if you get it nice and runny, you can do that. The other one you can do is you can take your hand and you can take your brush and you can flick it. Now, that's not what we want to do right now. As you can tell, we're getting some clusters in there, but that's okay, because what I can do is any little mistakes like that, we can throw some northern lights in there and we can cover that. So don't stress over that. Oh, no, there's a couple people that I talk to, but one, he always cracks me up, but he encouraged me. He says, He says, watching your videos, he said, even though I'm not really a painter, it's made me want to paint. And he said, you make it so easy so that even if you make mistakes, it can be fixed. And that's, you know what? That's the beauty of painting. If you don't like this, how it turns out, say you put way too many stars in there, guess what? Go back, let it dry, paint over it again. Acrylics can be laid over so easy and so fast, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna throw in some Northern Lights. I think first we're gonna do the shape of the wolf head in there. You know what, before we do that, actually, see if I got my small brush with me. And I do, because sometimes it's fun just to put some galaxies in there, or some star clusters, or you can put the Dipper, you can put Orion, you can put Cassiopeia, whatever you want. So I'm just going to put some extra ones to stand out just a bit, and I'll make one look like the Dipper. So at least I know it's hidden in there. You might not see it, I mean, you have to look for it. Cassiopeia is like a W, but one end is a little bit longer than the other. So that's fine. And then, I mean, you can also put a moon or something like that if you wish. Have fun, explore. You can put shooting stars. One way to do it is kind of like that. All right, looks like a couple of little shooting stars there. Just take your finger and push it. And then you can add just a little bit of, you can make it a comet, whatever you want. You got some options there. Excuse me. And then maybe I'll just do a couple little clusters that look together. There is one little spot in the sky that somewhere around Cassiopeia there is 7 sisters. And that's 7 stars, a cluster of stars is together. If you have eyes that aren't as good for long distance as mine, I will admit it. Yeah, sometimes it looks just like a little blotch. But when you look through a microscope or take photos, you're good. One more of those there. Tonight is the night where the good old meteorites are falling in on Earth. And so I'm just gonna do a couple more up top here, just a couple more blotches. Just to make sure I fill in that canvas, because if you miss some spots, it's gonna look kind of funky. And remember, when you're putting them on, don't put it in like order. If you look at the stars, there's only certain ones that have order. And you know, those are the ones that tell the stories. I think are okay. Some nice little dots, bigger sizes. Not too big. Don't get too big. You can really put a Milky Way in there. You can put whatever you want. You can have fun with it. I'm not going to worry about that today. We're going to keep it simple. So I'm just going to give it just a minute to dry, because I still see some wet spots on there, and I'll be right back with the Northern Lights. All right. All right. All right. So, you know what? We are back. We're going to have to get this done quick. I want to get it done within our time frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my teal. Again, we're going to take this guy. We're going to keep it simple. What I want to do, I would like to, sorry, I just want to make sure we're in a good viewing space for everybody here. So I'm gonna make, should I do, yeah, I'm gonna add just a hint of white to it. So we're gonna make almost like a minty teal, minty turquoise, just a hint of white. I don't know if you can notice the difference. You might be able to notice that compared to below it. You can see the two. So it's just a little bit lighter. I think it'll just look a little bit better in that sky. Maybe even, you know what? I might even do a touch of regular. Yeah. Just because I wanted to change it up just a bit, I put a hint of even the blue that we use for this guy. Now, again, I'm using a big 1-inch brush. That's, I guess you could call it a 1-inch brush. It's not very wide. And I try and show people that you can do a whole painting. I did a couple dots, but I could have did it with the corner of this, just proving that you don't need anything but a brush like this for a lot of stuff, right? And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick a spot on here where I want that head, and I'm gonna start it over here. So what I wanna do, I'm gonna make it reach down almost the whole way down to the top of the sunset there. So I'm gonna start with the nose, and we're gonna work up, and we're gonna pull that head down, and we're gonna pull that ear up, and bring it back around. So that's starting to look, I think we're close there. Now, we're gonna pull that nose, that snout, down like this, down to the mouth. I think we're looking good so far. I'm gonna give it just a little bit of a bottom part of the mouth as well. Yeah, that'll work good. All right. And then I'm gonna bring it down like that. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Then I'm just gonna give it a bit of an eye. We're not gonna get fancy with this, just so it looks like an eye. With the nose here, I'm gonna fill in just the front area of it. I don't wanna do too much on this because I wanna keep it so the sky is there, right? So I'm just going over lightly. I'm not touching very hard. And then make it look like its nostril is there a little bit. Just like that. I think we're okay. Just soften that up a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a little bit of hair on the back end here. And then I'm gonna swerve it over a little bit further. There we go. And then on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. Just give it a little bit of a fan, nothing crazy. Look at that, simple, simple. And it looks really good, right? So now what we're gonna do is we wanna add some northern lights to there. So we're gonna decide where we want these northern lights to start. Okay, so here's the key. I'm just gonna go teal, a little bit of that white and blue together, does not matter, we can just start with it. Then all we're gonna do is work our way from left to right up into the sky. We're gonna do like almost an S kind of a pattern. Stop it once you get to the neck of the wolf. Start it on the other side, and we're gonna swerve it up and over, right? Just like that. That's one. We might as well do another line of it. We'll start it down further. I'm just gonna swerve it around. Don't go too far into that. I wanna see that hair of that wolf. Just like that, okay? Now, this one is just gonna come across up a little bit higher, so not too far below. Almost the same kind of pattern, you can see that, right? Okay, so now what we do is we're gonna take a little bit of that paint and put it on there. One more time. Now, I wanna dry my brush. I'm gonna try and dry my brush really good. I could have washed the paint, but I didn't. I'm not too worried about that. So now what I wanna do is I wanna pull up. So I'm gonna try and come in a little bit closer here and see if you can see this. So what we wanna do is we wanna just flick it up. Now, keep it going up around the corners. A lot of people will go and they'll start shooting it off to the right or off to the left, and it's like, that's not what we're trying to do here. Our whole sole purpose is just try and keep it, those northern lights shooting upwards, right? I want those northern lights up, 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 up. I don't know how many of you have got the honors of out there seeing the northern lights, but I'm telling you, I've watched the northern lights for years and taken photos of the northern lights for years, and they amaze me every time. But trying to paint them, you have to keep on track, right? So again, we're just putting a little bit of paint on the bottom across just to make sure it's still wet, and then we'll keep pushing up. And some areas, again, higher than others. Keep some low, keep some high. Just like that, right? Keep some low, keep some high. Keep some low, keep some high. And just because we're doing one color, if you feel like you've messed it up, let it dry. You can always paint over it the dark color again if you're really messed it up. And then just redo it. Now, here's one more option we can do. Put some paint on your brush. Get your brush really thin, like that, as much as you're able to, okay? Thin. We want it thin. And then what we can do is you can take that bottom corner, and what you're doing is you're kind of bending it up and flicking it. A little bend, a little bit of a flick, okay? And you're just kind of pushing upwards in some spots, low in some spots, up in some spots. And because we don't have a whole bunch of paint on our brush, should go on pretty nice, or blend pretty nice from your line. Now there's some you're gonna shoot right up into that sky. You're gonna go crazy on it, but you're going soft, so it doesn't matter, so it's gonna look nice, right? All right. All right. Gonna do some more on the left side here, kind of finish these off a little bit. And if you want to do both techniques on each side, go for it. If you want to add some color on each side, you go for it. I'm not worried. I always tell people, like, sure, it's nice to copy the instructor, but in reality, have fun and get creative. Not enough people just create their own painting, their own world, and it's like, that's what this is all about. The instructor is just to give you the tips on how to, maybe the technique, how to do it properly. But the rest is up to you to get creative. Now, I think I'm happy with that so far. Maybe in that top row, I'm just gonna go a little bit higher with some of it. Remember, keep that bottom edge nice and smooth. We might end up going back over that wolf one more time. Just add a little bit of white. Yeah, I'm gonna add just a little bit more white because that'll pop it out just a bit more. Now I'm just gonna follow that edge that I made. Just following that edge that I made earlier. See, it stands out just a little bit more. Stands out just a little bit more. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna fix that edge one more time down here. Down here. Nice, nice, nice. Again, we're keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. I want anyone to be able to paint this. Anyone should be able to paint this. Now, the wolf might be just a little bit of a tricky part because, you know, it's not perfectly easy to be able to get those lines, especially if it's your first time. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of that white to a few spots on the Northern Lights to give it some highlights. Few spots just to give it some highlights. Then we should be good to go. And then I'm gonna make two Simple things. I might not do a mousse on this one. It looks like we are getting close at a time. So here's what I'm gonna do. Clean my brush really quick. And we're gonna get into the black. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna figure out where we want, get a thin brush, okay? Super thin again, as thin as we could possibly get it. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna come on this right side over here, and I wanna try and put a tree. So let me see if I can put a tree over here, okay? So I start thin up top, start up in the Northern Lights, push it down harder as I get down to that bottom edge. A little bit harder as I get down to that bottom edge. Now, I'm taking the corner of my brush again, but I'm gonna go and tap it, starting with the corner, left to right. I'm just gonna do a small little tap, and it's gonna be like a zigzag of a Z pattern. Just a Z pattern, all the way left to right. Just kind of tapping in, filling in extra spots. And what you're doing is, the further down you get, the harder you push. All right, I'm gonna do that again. Might as well do one more over there, another small one. Now, you can leave it skinny, but I'm gonna leave that, I want that trunk a little bit wider. Again, corner my brush. Just tapping on there and pushing down a little bit harder as I go. See that? Super simple. Now let's go over to the other side, and I'm gonna put in one more, at least one more over there. Maybe two, but we'll see. Let's put in one big guy over here. Now, if you messed up and you did a huge trunk at the top, that's okay. Here's what you do. You take your brush a little higher and start skinnier up higher, and then pull it down so it blends into that trunk that you've just made, that big, huge trunk. And guess what? You're back to square one. Again, I'm just tapping the corner. I'll zoom in here a little bit in a minute. Left to right, I'm just leaving little gaps so it looks like there's gaps between the branch. Don't push it so hard so that you just fill everything in. That's not what we want to do. We want to make it look like a tree. Now you can go back and fill some of it in, but always leave those gaps so those highlights come through, right? So I'm going to do one more tree, just a small tree, and be done with it for today. Because we ran out of time. Who knows? Who knew that painting would fly so fast? Oh, one little trick for you. If you push down on your brush really hard, I don't know if you can see that exactly, but I'm just pushing down to make my bristles wide. All I'm doing is, you can flick from the bottom up, and it'll give you grass. Just flick super soft. Just like, almost like you did your Northern Lights. Figure out where you want your grass to be. Flick it up. Let the world see it. And we will call this a day. Thank you again for watching. And I hope you enjoyed yourself. And I hope it encourages you to paint a little more. I'm just going to put my initial down here. Thank you, everyone, from Access. Hope I can see your painting someday. Have a good day, and God bless. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to see if I can do an extended edition. This might be just for the channel. Here's what we're gonna do. I want to touch up the snout a little bit because there's a couple things that I feel that I missed on this wolf. Now, we're going back into that light, that really light blue, teal. And I'm just gonna, see it's dark there, right? It's just a bit too dark and I don't want that. So I'm gonna make that a little bit lighter. I don't mind if it's darker behind it. So what it's doing is it's picking up that that underpaint, probably because I have a little bit of water on my brush, and it's not the end of the world. Again, nothing I would stress over anyway. So I'm just going to put a little bit more white on there. I'm going to do a soft edge, super soft edge around it. I have hardly anything for paint on my brush, by the way. I'm going to get to that corner of that ear, and I'm just going to pull a little bit, super soft. It's almost going to look like hairs coming down. Hope you can see that. It does look like hairs coming down into the ear. Now, there's also one thing I seem to miss on the chin. And on the chin, we have a nice little spot here for some hairs. And now, all I'm doing, again, the key is get that brush nice and flat and thin, because you can use that thin edge to draw anything. So I'm going to do some chin hairs. So it stands out, looks nice. Not too much. I could do some whiskers if I want. Like wolves have some whiskers there, but I don't think that's necessary. So let's see if there's anything I missed that we can kind of touch up on. You know, I like those northern lights popping like that. Now, again, I'm gonna maybe on the top layer, maybe do a second coat. Just to fill it in, just to fill it in. Oh, see, look at that. It's like, oh no, I ruined it. You know what? You're wrong. So what happened was, as it spilt a little bit, it spilt a little bit on there. What side are we on here? So what I did is I just pulled this down. Pulled it down a little bit further. Look at that, we fixed it, so easy. Simple fix. Get some northern lights high up there, yeah. Make them stand out. Do this one more time over here. I gotta watch that edge of that brush, because if I put too much paint, it'll just fall off my brush all globby. So, again, to get that, say you have a color that you're struggling with making it pop, don't be afraid to do a second layer. Because with acrylics, some of them are really thin. I find some of the paints are really thin. And so in order to get them to pop, you have to do 2 layers. And that's okay. Sometimes you just feel you don't have time. Go with what you got. Now, again, I'm keeping it straight up, because northern lights don't go sideways. Northern lights do not go sideways. Just filling in that bottom edge a little bit. Don't fill it in again. So when you're painting it, don't fill it in so it all looks like it's blended as one thick thing. Now, if you've messed up, I'm going to show you what you can do if you've messed up, okay? I'm just going to finish this one little area, get a few more highlights in there. I want it to stand out. Okay. We'll just pretend I messed up and oh no, I put it on too thick. End of the world, right? Not yet. So here's what you can do. You can go back into, clean your brush really good. Again, this is key. If you clean your brush really good, dry it off really good, it's gonna make everything go a lot smoother in your painting, because you're gonna be able to just put your specific paint you want on. It's not gonna make it bleed. So I'm gonna go back into that black with just that hint of blue, because it's at the top, right? So it's more black than it is blue. Now, super duper thin, okay? Super thin. Now I'm gonna make sure that you see this, and make sure you understand what I'm doing. So you see how it looks nice and blobby up there? It's like, oh, way too thick. What I can do is I can take that top edge. So I'm working from that top corner, okay? When you're looking at the screen, that top edge, and I'm just touching it and I'm sliding it down a little bit. So what that's gonna do is gonna create those gaps in the sky to make it look like the lights are up in pillars again. So it's not like you're gonna ruin your painting just because you did something that might seem off a little bit. You can do this anywhere in your painting if you feel like you need to get some highlights back in there. And then you can reblend one more time. So it's not that hard. So it's just a matter of trial and error, trial and error. Make sure you know the color of what's behind. So again, there's an area down over by the chin where I think that maybe I could add a little bit of those back shadows again of the sky, just in a couple spots. Top edge, sliding it down, not very much paint on my brush at all. So the reason for this is that if you want to go back with your teal or whatever color you want to use, it's going to allow you to create the back shadows and see more of the pillars. Now, when you see Northern Lights, a lot of times, it looks like it's just one big wave with a couple pillars up top. Now, that's time-lapse. Not necessarily time-lapse, but when you're taking a photo, in order to get the night sky, you have to do a long exposure. For all you photographers out there, you know this. And a long exposure is going to be really nice because it's going to bring in all the extra light in that darkness that you can't naturally see with the eye. And that's why when you take a picture with your phone, you're looking up at the sky and like, oh, why is the Northern Lights so bright on my phone, but not to my eye? And that's why. It's just gathering light. So it's looking good. We're on the right track. You know, sometimes you don't even have to go back and do the extra highlights after you've put in these shadows again. Because I think just as long as you got those gaps in there, it brings depth. A little bit of depth to your Northern Lights there. And so I think it just looks great. I'm going to just add a little bit more here. And again, if you look at the top of the Northern Lights, as I have on here, you're going to have those areas that shoot up. And if it's just all the same length, it's just going to look like a big... Now, I will say this though, before I get too out of order. There are some abstract and some Aboriginal style paintings and a few other styles that have that, where it is just the lines filled in and it just looks so good. But for what we're doing here, we want to just create some depth and just some basic shapes and forms. And so I think I like what we got here. I'm not as much of a fan of the blending I did on the nose. And I might go back. Actually, there's two things I want to do. I'm going to go back with my black and blue. And I'm just going to create a bit of a nose. But I'm also going to go back over top and just kind of reshape that a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy. And I might go back over it again with my teal if I want. Just want to see how it looks. That should be okay. Yeah, I'm going to clean my brush. Go back at it one more time. Now, there's a million things we could do, I'm sure, on this painting, but for me, we're trying to keep it simple. What's the point of going crazy when we could just have fun, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can put in a nice little mousse right in the middle of that painting. Just a nice little moose sitting, walking across there. And nothing too crazy. Might be a little bit tougher for someone who hasn't painted a moose before, because to get detail this small when you're just starting out, it does make it a little difficult. So you know what? Like, I might even mess it up here on my first try, and sometimes it's best to start smaller and so you can expand a little bit later. So I'm going to start with a little bit smaller body, and then once I'm happy with, if I'm happy with it, then I'll leave it as is. But if not, I may have to expand it and make it a little bit bigger. But if you make it too big at the start, I mean, you could turn it into an elephant, or maybe a hippo, or a rhino, or something like that. Something a little bit bigger than what it is on the canvas. Or then again, moose are pretty darn big. I've seen some big moose in my life. Ones where you could drive under. That is northern BC, where I used to live. And so I'm very acquainted with northern lights, and I'm very acquainted with animals, especially the moose. So we see the trees are not the tallest, but we don't want to make the moose bigger. I mean, up north, I guess you can get some smaller trees. There's a lot smaller trees, and the moose stand up a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create the body. This is where I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I'm just going to make this shape of the back. It's kind of got a hump right there. So the head will be on this side. So I'm using a little round brush, just a tiny little brush like that, nothing too crazy. So where are we here? I'm going to shape the rest of that body. Remember, if I go down too far, I'm not going to have room for those legs to stand out. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to just put a little bit of a body here at the bottom. I'm going to bring it up just around that hump, because then you're going to have that leg come down. All right. Fill it in just a little bit to see where we're at. Just to see where we're at here. We're on the right track, I think. All right. So we're going to lead into that neck, and we're going to put a bit of an ear here, just so we know that that's part of the head. And that moose head is going to come out. It's going to be a little bit rounded at the front. It's not going to be squared off. Actually, the bottom's kind of squared. Now, here's a tip. If you're painting and your paint is drying too fast, and you just feel you're not getting the paint to come off your brush good, add a little bit of water to it. Just a bit. Not enough that it's going to like dry it so much that you're not going to be able to thin it so much that you're not going to be able to put it on thick, but you want that to be able to come up thick. So here's the neck coming across like this, and down from there is that beard, a little chin. It's kind of like a neck beard. It just sticks down. And maybe an extra couple hairs right there. So I'm okay with that. It looks like we're getting into the right spot here. We're going to put the antlers up here, and then we'll have the legs, but I want to make sure that back end is, I'm going to follow it down, and that hind leg is going to kind of kick out behind it a bit, right? Because it's walking. Keep it thin. Put that little joint there. Put that joint there, and then we're going to pull that leg down, because they're a little backwards compared to ours. So I'm pushing that down. No problem making that just a little bit wider. Nice long legs. Those moose have long legs. I'm telling you, there's sometimes you're driving, you come up on that moose and it's last second, and it's so dark, and you think, oh yeah, I'll be able to see a moose on the highway, no problem. And you pull up behind it, and man, it's just right there. And they are big, and so what do? You pray. Especially at night outside. There's certain areas around here that I just will not drive fast, because I know they're around that area. And I ain't taking chances, man. I'm just not taking chances. So we're just putting little feet on them. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just hide them in the grass a little bit. That's fine. Yeah. Look at those nice long legs that moose has. This guy's tall. This guy's tall. So this front one, I'm going to pull over and then down. And it's going to come down, and at the bottom is hoof is going to come back towards like it's walking, and it's just moving the leg forward. And we're in the right spot there. And the last leg we're going to put almost straight down from just about the middle of that area right there. But we'll actually have that last piece of the leg go forward, the foot. I think I'm happy with that. Now let's get those antlers on there. Nice big set of antlers. I'm going to start with a mound where it's going to connect. I'm going to shoot it out to the right, do a couple little parts there for that side. Nothing crazy, nothing crazy. The big side of the rack is back here. So this we're just going to do kind of a little bit of a U-ish, I don't know what you want to call that. It's something. It's something, but it kind of looks like a moose rack. So, and I'm just going to add probably 3 more little parts to that, and it should work. 1, 2, and bigger as they go, right? Bigger as they go. There, not bad. I think that's pretty good. Let's just add a little bit more. I'm gonna put just a hint of a tail. Just a hint of a tail. Let's put it this way, you're not seeing a big tail out of these guys. I mean, you maybe it'll seem a little bit easier if they had a big tail swinging around, but we don't get that. So, what I'm gonna do, I want to make sure that's all black on the bottom. So here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. I'm just repainting kind of over it. Now, I could go fancy, and you can put a little bit of maybe water down below, and you could put a reflection in the water, but I'm just trying to get rid of those stars. You know that I flicked all over the place a little bit earlier? You know, I may be a little aggressive on the stars. And it might not look like it's gonna blend right now, you know, because it's standing out that little bit more. But here's the deal. Once it dries, you are not gonna notice it, I promise. All right, so that's pretty darn good. I think I'm happy with that. What else can I add? What else can I add to that? You know what, just for fun, let's add a moon. I want to show you guys how to do a fun moon. We're gonna do it up there in the top right corner, left corner. And the reason I'm doing it up there is because we're gonna make it look like that wolf is howling at the moon. Again, clean your brush super good. That is key. Super good. And what I want to do is I'm going to go into the white. Now, super white, you know what? It's going to have just a hint of that teal from before, just a hint. So here's the key. I'm not going to go crazy big, but I want to. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to push down with my brush, okay? I'm going to sit it on the canvas, and while it's comfortable there, I'm just going to spin it. And I'm going to try and do it fast while the water, because I didn't dry my brush apparently good enough. So you can just push it down, spin it. And if it's comfortable enough, or if it's comfortable, if you're comfortable with that, actually what it'll do is it'll automatically just come off your brush like that. Look at, I didn't have to do hardly anything. Now, I don't like how blue it is in there. So I'm just adding some white highlights. Most times I would do the opposite. It's nice and white if you get a really white one up there. And then all you have to do is just go in with your teal or your blue, just a little bit of either or even just a black. And all you got to do is go in there and touch it up just a hint more with some taps. Just tap it on there. I think we're just about done here. One thing I can do if we got a minute left. Yeah, I think we're just about good here. Just do some minor little touch-ups here. I'm gonna pull over to the Northern Lights just so you can see what we're doing. Some touch-ups, some a little bit lighter colors. Again, I don't think you can mess this up. I think it's so easy to fix it. They can always come back, super simple, and get some highlights in there. And again, if you were doing regular Northern Lights, you'd be adding your pinks or your yellows or certain things like that. In certain areas, you're gonna have highlights where just the different gases hit and it just pops out. And so I'm just gonna do a couple different areas where it's just a little bit lighter of the teal. Not too much where it's gonna cover it all up, just a couple highlights to make it look like it's popping. I'm gonna do a couple areas here. Remember, get that bottom edge, push up from that bottom edge. You can start by pushing up with the flat edge of your brush, that's totally up to you. If that doesn't work, then use that corner of your brush and push it up, push it up, push it up, push it up. Just pick another couple spots to have some highlights. And that just about does it. I'm gonna do on the left side here, just a few more. And again, if you feel it, you went too far down, that can always be fixed and touched up. No issues. Don't stress over the small things. Don't stress over the small things. Well, I like that. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a couple things I could do, but you could maybe do some highlights in the trees. Like I said, you could do water reflection or a little creek or something like that. I'm not gonna worry about that today. Oh, it gets so tempting. No, we'll do it next time. We'll do that on one of our next shows. All right, thank you again for joining me. Have a great day. God bless. Bye for now.